Anti-Cuts Alliance. This read-off today is part of a national thing about the library closures across the country, but specifically here in Oxford, because we've got so many of our libraries that are closing, we've decided to make it more of a campaigning event. Demonstration in London that day, and trying to get as many people there.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me all right? I'm not sure if this thing is working very well, so I'll try and speak clearly. So even if the microphone doesn't work, you still know what I'm saying. I'm very glad to be here, and I'm very glad to see so many of you here. We've got to fight this. We've got to say exactly what libraries mean to us, because I think what's happening is that the County Council is destroying something it doesn't know the value of. It doesn't understand the importance of libraries, not only to the community in the general sense, but to individual people. Because we are all individuals, and when we first go to a library, we encounter something that speaks to us as an individual person. We don't necessarily think about the literacy levels and the schools, reading tables and all that stuff when we're in a library. We think about what interests us and where we can find a book on it. And then next to that book we see a book on a different subject we didn't know we were interested in. We discover we're interested in that as well. That's how discoveries happen. And that's why you need a big room with lots of books in it, so you can make those discoveries. They say, you know, it's all very well, you don't need libraries these days, you can sit at home and you can check the catalogue with your computer. Well, that's like giving somebody a keyhole through which they can look at one book at a time. And what use is that when you don't know what books there are? We need a big room with lots of books in it, for all sorts of reasons. Now, I'm glad to see some younger people in the audience, children, because I think an audience includes adults and children, that sort of all. So I have a question for the children now. I could read something. I'll give you a choice. I could read you a story about a pretty little fairy who lived in a bluebell. Or I could read you a scary story. Which would like the bluebell and the fairy? Who'd like a scary story?
Yeah.
Right. I've said that 200 times and nobody yet has asked me for the fairy and the bluebell. I'll be stuck if they do one day. But this is from a book called Clockwork. And the story is set in a little town, 200 years ago or so, on a snowy night. And people are all gathered in the inn, because the church clock, the famous church clock in this town, which got all sorts of different figures, clockwork figures that come out and do things. And the following morning, it's going to be a new figure in the clock, and this is a big occasion for all the town, because it's the first appearance of the new clockwork figure made by the clockwork maker's apprentice, who's called Carl. The trouble is, he hasn't done it. He hasn't made the figure he should have done. And we hear him now, he's in the inn, talking to a mysterious old stranger who's just turned up. Just after somebody else was telling a story. Here they are, everybody else has gone to bed or left them alone. Dr. Calminius, that's his name, is telling Carl about the mysterious properties of clockwork that he didn't suspect. He says, our lives are like clockwork, and we can wind them up. It's easy, he said. What would you like? Wealth? A beautiful bride? Wind up the future, my friend. Say what you want, and it will be yours. Fame, power, riches. What would you like? You know very well what I want, cried Carl. I want a figure for the clock. Something to show for all the time I should have spent in making it. Anything to avoid the shame I'll feel tomorrow. Nothing could be easier, said Dr. Cummings. You spoke, and there is what you wished for. And he pointed to the little sledge he pulled behind him into the parlour. The runners stood in a puddle of melted snow, and the canvas cover was damp. What is it? Said Carl. Uncover it. Take off the canvas. Carl got to his feet and slowly untied the rope holding the cover down. Then he pulled the canvas off. In the sledge was the most perfect piece of metal sculpture he had ever seen. It was the figure of a knight in armour, made of gleaming silvery metal, holding a sharp sword. Carl touched the blade, drew his hand back at once, looking at the blood running down his fingers. It's like a razor, he said. Only the best will do for Sir Iron Soul, said Dr. Cummings. Sir Iron Soul, said Carl. What a piece of work. Oh, if this were in the tower among the other figures, my name would be made forever. And how does he work? What does he do? He does work by clockwork, I suppose, or is there some kind of goblin in there, a spirit or a devil of some kind? With a smooth whir and the ticking of delicate machinery, the figure began to move. The knight raised his sword and turned his helmeted head to look for Carl, and then stepped off the sledge and moved towards him. "No, what's he doing?" said Carl, backing away. And so kept going. Carl moved aside, but the figure turned too, and before Carl could dodge away, he was pinned in the corner, with the little knight's sword moving closer and closer. "What's he doing? That sword is sharp. Stop it, Doctor. Make it stop." Dr. Calminius whistled 3 or 4 bars of a simple, haunting little tune, as her iron soul fell still. The point of the sword was right at Carl's throat. The apprentice eased his way past the figure and sank onto a chair, weak with fear. "What? Who? How did it start? This is uncanny. Did you set it off?" "Oh, I didn't start it," said Dr. Calminius. "You did." "I did? How?" "It was something you said. His mechanism is so delicate, so perfectly balanced, that one word and one word alone will start him moving. And he's such a clever little fellow. Once he's heard that word, he won't rest until his sword is in the throat that uttered it." "What words? What did I say? Clockwork? Goblin? Move? Work? Spirit? Devil?" Once again, Sir Ironsoul began to move. He turned round implacably, found Carl, and set off towards him. The apprentice was out of his chair in a flash and cowering in the corner. "That was it," he cried. "Stop it again, please, Doctor." Dr. Calminius whistled once more, and the figure stopped. "What's that tune?" said Carl. "Why does he stop for that?" "It's a little tune called The Flowers of Lapland," said Dr. "He likes that, bless him. He stands still to listen to it, and then tips his balance wheel the other way, and then he stops. What a marvel! What a piece of work!" "Oh, Carl, afraid of a little tin man who likes a pretty tune? It's uncanny. It's not like a machine at all. I don't like it." "Well, that's a great shame. What will you do without him tomorrow? I shall be watching with great interest." "No, no," said Carl. "I didn't mean... Oh, I don't know what I mean." "You want it?" "Yes." "No," cried Carl, beating his fists together. "I don't know." "Yes." "Then he is yours," said Dr. Pullman. "You'll round up the future, my boy. It has already begun to tick." And before Carl could change his mind, the clockwork maker gathered his long cloak around him, swept the hood up over his head, and vanished out of the door with his sledge. And he's going to open the church up, prepare the way, to put the new figure in among the other figures. He's left the little man standing in the parlour with the canvas cover over him. There's someone else awake in the inn. And landlord's little daughter Gretel couldn't sleep because she's been thinking of that scary story she heard earlier on in the evening. And because she couldn't sleep, she thought she'd go down and sit by the stove in the parlour for a while, because her bed was cold. So she wrapped a blanket around her shoulders and tiptoed down the stairs, just as the great clock in the tower was chiming midnight. There was no one in the parlour, of course, and the lamp was burning low, so she didn't notice the little canvas-covered figure in the corner, and she sat down to warm her hands at the stove. What a strange story that was going to be, she said to the old black cat, snoozing on the hearth. I'm not sure that people ought to tell stories like that. I don't mind ghosts and skeletons, but I think Fritz went too far that time. Didn't everyone jump when the old man came in? It was as if Fritz just conjured him up out of nothing, like Dr. Faust conjuring up the devil. And the sheet of canvas fell softly to the floor. The little figure turned his head, raised his sword, and began to move towards him. Now, I haven't got time, unfortunately. But you'll find it in the library.